Welcome to AM Best Audio.
A recently released report from Marsh shows significant growth in the global transactional risk insurance market in 2024. I'm John Weber for AM Best Audio, and I'm speaking today to Craig Schioppo, Global Head of Marsh's Transactional Risk Group. Craig, so glad you could join us today.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
So, Craig, what key factors have driven the significant growth of the global transactional risk insurance market in 2024?
Transactional risk has continued to grow, over the last decade plus, but I think 2024 saw a real rebound in M&A. So as M&A goes, transactional risk goes. This product's widely accepted across most jurisdictions, even some new ones. We're seeing more done in Dubai and other areas. But really, the big driver was after a kind of down year in M&A in 23, we saw a big second half rebound in 24 globally. Just for mergers and acquisitions. And also the second part would be the continued growth of tax insurance that we've seen across the globe in all jurisdictions, whether it's tax issues related to an M&A deal or it's the growth of insuring tax credits and renewable energy deals. There's just a ton of interest in doing it. It's a great solution for deal makers, investors, et cetera. My hope is it continues to grow. I've been doing this a long time. But like I said, we are driven at the behest of and a little at the global economy. So boom years are boom years for us. And then there's, just the mere fact we're opening, like I said, a few other jurisdictions that people, best way to phrase it, didn't have boots on the ground professionals who were focused on transactional risk. And now there's Latin America, like I said, Dubai before. These are places where people are investing resources so that clients doing deals in those jurisdictions have the resources available to them.
Being that you brought up M&A, what are the M&A trends that you're seeing, and how is that influencing the band?
Now, sitting here on the date we're talking, look, M&A was up quite a bit towards the end of last year and even the beginning first quarter here in 2025. Now, obviously, there's still a lot of things in the world going on that makes it touch and go at best. You, of course, have, a war in Ukraine. You have the Middle East. And, of course, with the new regime, you kind of have these tariff wars. So I think people are waiting for more certainty with how the tariffs will affect M&A going forward, because we all know, it's a global economy. So until some of this filters out, I think it's going to be a little choppy here for a while. But I'm pretty bullish about 2025 when I talk with lawyers and bankers and private equity professionals and business development folks at corporations, that I think it's going to be a really good year for M&A.
Have there been any notable innovations or enhancements in Marsh's transactional risk insurance offerings?
I think notable enhancements. I think the policies are really in a great place right now. And I don't like to date myself, but going back from where they were 18, 20 years ago when I started, but they're really in a great place. They're very user-friendly across the globe. I think there are some differentiators and some innovations in pockets of regions. For instance, in certain European countries, we could do something called synthetic indemnities or synthetic reps, meaning we can create them and insure them even though they weren't reps and warranties that a seller actually gave in a transaction. There's also the staple transaction, as we called, where a lot of the underwriting, rather than being done once the buyer starts their diligence, is done and precipitated by the seller starting that. So a lot of the work is done on the transaction before the buyer maybe even chosen an auction or they know what the buyer is. So there's small steps of innovation. I think we're always looking for things to innovate with. The best innovators and the best things, just like how these products came up, is a client comes with a problem and wants to see if it's insurable. And we go out to our carriers who are quite creative and see what can be done. And once you do it once, it's either might be a one-off, but it also could be something that's you can repeat in one jurisdiction or many.
Customize your data experience. BestLink now offers an interactive company dashboard that provides company-level intelligence in a fast, user-friendly interface featuring interactive tables, charts, and Sparkline performance histories. Customize the dashboard tiles to prioritize the insurer ratings, data, and analytics that best support your workflow. AM Best. Our insight, your advantage.
Craig, globally, where are you seeing the demand for transactional?
Everywhere. I mean,
Everywhere.
are you asking me like regionally?
Yes, please.
Oh, I mean, all across Europe. The UK has always been big. All across Europe, every country, whether it's Italy, Spain, Luxembourg, Germany's quite big. Australia's big. Australia has a lot of uh, transactional risk products used with respect to infrastructure deals. Asia, we have a huge Singapore office, and like I said, even India was had a very robust year in both tax insurance and reps and warranties insurance last year. And like I said, now as you see places like Dubai and companies both from the broker side and from the carrier side investing resources there, you're seeing a big uptick. And lastly, Latin America and certain South American countries again are really starting to get to the place where it was done like it was in the US and Europe and the UK where we were 10 years ago. There's a lot more product awareness. So that's kind of why when you ask me about good M&A year, um, not just hoping that from the economy, which will drive M&A, but also the mere fact that these are new markets, so to speak, and new regions and new countries that are just starting to use the products, which leaves us a lot of runway for the industry to continue to grow.
Looking ahead, what emerging risks or trends do you anticipate will impact the TR market?
I still think, we still sit in the same 80 to 90% of things are done the way they're done. I do believe there's a lot of runway in the tax insurance market. Tax is an interesting beast. There's jurisdictions. Every jurisdiction has their own tax laws, tax codes. Some are more or easier to decipher, and that thus the carriers can get their arms around a issue in Mexico maybe easier than some other jurisdiction. But tax is interesting because it could be related to an M&A risk. It could be related to project risk. Like I said earlier, um, it could be related to renewable energy. So I think as we continue to explore that, similar to as I said earlier about when clients come to us and want the assurance of insurance backing up their investment or their deal, we're always going to listen. And like I also said, if you do it once in whether it's a Spanish tax law and the carriers want to ensure that, you could do it multiple times. So I do think tax is one of the biggest places. I still think there's room in the contingent liability world, where those are one-off, generally legal risks. That there's been some highly publicized claims paid there, which might have made the carriers rethink their philosophy and what types of deals they want to do in the contingent liability world. But I think that's being refined, so I still think there's room for growth there as well.
So you mentioned that you're bullish, but you also mentioned the uncertainty. So what do you think for 2025 as we look ahead here?
Well, I always try to be bullish, to hopefully not to my detriment. I do think it's going to depend on one thing, John. I mean, I think if you get inflation to continue to go down, maybe interest rates go down, and certainly the settling of tariffs and reciprocal tariffs, those three things start to or do fall in line. I see it, from everything and from everyone I speak to who are smarter people than me, who are private equity guys, like I said, and bankers, they're ready to do deals when there's more certainty. So I'm looking forward to getting to that certainty and then, watching M&A have a very big year.
You're a glass half full kind of guy.
I try.
Craig, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Oh, absolutely my pleasure anytime, and have a great, great week.
That was Craig Schioppo, Global Head of Marsh's Transactional Risk Group. And I'm John Weber for AM Best Audio. Looking to get the full attention of the insurance industry? We have the platforms that will do just that. Whether it be AM Best TV, AM Best Audio, Best Review Magazine, or Best Day. Find out more by calling AM Best Advertising Sales at 908-439-2200, extension 5399, and have a great day.